welcome. This is the MCM Podcast. It's episode 8. Well, actually, it's a re-recording of episode 8. We had some difficulty with the last one. Larry won't be with us today, unfortunately, but I've got Jared here, our koala brother from Down Under.
G'day, mate. How you going?
And I'm your host. I'm Dill. What have you been up to, Jared?
Well, right now I'm just drinking my usual half-strength latte. And I've just been came back home about a week ago. Been catching up with old friends. Started going to the gym again. Just started season 6 of Ray Donovan, actually, and this season has been like amazing so far. Like, they're no longer in Los Angeles; they've moved to New York.
Is that the last season?
No, the second last season, and I think it was just the what's the word? The best way to bring a bit of new energy to the show. And especially how they handled Ray in the first couple episodes. Like, to me, this series has been really good in breaking down him as a character. But if we got time, we can talk about that later, because there are a lot of things that are pretty awesome about that show. So, what have you been up to?
I've been binging Yellowstone. I've gotten into season 3 of it. It's a really good show. I think a lot of people on the forum would like it. It's set in modern day in Montana. It's about the family that owns the largest ranch in the United States, and it has all of this conflict around it, because they've got EPA coming down on them. They've got, urbanization encroaching on them, and they've got, the Indian reservation hugged up next to them, and they're trying to get control of the Yellowstone, the ranch, the family ranch. And then, of course, it's, if anybody has seen Dallas, it's essentially Dallas, except instead of being in Texas with an oil field family or an oil family, it's set in Montana with a ranching family. Pretty much the same setup like that. Yeah.
How's the because I've seen the first episode, and to me it felt quite cinematic.
The first episode is a 90-minute. It's essentially a movie, and I feel like there's a few character changes that happen, little subtle character tweaks to a few of them that happens in the later episodes, but it still keeps that same look. It still keeps a similar style, and it has a weird way of having it'll build up a problem and make it seem huge, and then it'll be swept under in like a really subversive way. It's like, wow, man, they just solved that one pretty easy. But it's usually one of those kind of favor things where it's like it went away real easy, but there's kind of a cost to it that'll come up later. And what I really dug about the show is how you have all these adversarial forces, and yet there's this kind of respect and growing respect that each one of them has to each other. And in season 2, the 3 groups that were kind of coming at each other become uneasy allies for a few episodes to get rid of a larger threat, or maybe not a larger threat, but a less respectful threat, I'd say. But it's a really good show. I mean, it's Taylor Sheridan directs a lot of the episodes, but he wrote and is a showrunner of the show. If you don't know Taylor Sheridan, he wrote Sicario, he wrote Hell or High Water, and he wrote and directed Wind River. So Wind River's got to be my favorite from him. But everything. But the show is led
awesome
by
movie,
Kevin
by the way.
Costner, and it's got a really
if you haven't seen
high supporting cast. Even has Cole Hauser in it, which I was talking about Cole Hauser in a podcast a while back. But moving on from that, we get a lot of audience questions and a few topics to cover. So let's go ahead and get right into that. First question we have is from Gerard Butts. Message says, "Hi guys. And the question is, what are your thoughts on Val Kilmer's Batman/Bruce Wayne performance? Also, do you think if he were the same age, physical status, would he be a good fit for Nolan's take on the Caped Crusader? Now, Jared, I know that Gerard Butts is really you. So, do you want me to answer this before you answer?
Guilty, and yeah, sure.
Okay, so, it's really been a long time since I've seen Batman Forever, but, even right now I can tell you straight up, Val Kilmer and his performance was not an issue in that movie. I think the movie's pretty good, but there's some few points that drag it down, but Val Kilmer's performance is never that. And I don't think he got the material that suits his talent, but he didn't let that undercut his performance at all. And so I really respect his Bruce Wayne, his Batman, and as for how he would fit into the Nolan movies in place of Christian Bale, I think so. Like Batman Begins, you see, you see Bruce Wayne throughout several periods of his life. Yeah, I mean, of course, Christian Bale and Val Kilmer couldn't play 12-year-old, 8-year-old Bruce, but there is when Bruce comes back from college and he tries to kill Joe Chill and then meets Carmine Falcone. There's when he's off wandering in Asia, then when he gets picked up when he's in the prison and gets trained by Ra's al Ghul, and then comes back with a crusade in Gotham. So you get this dynamic look at Bruce Wayne, and then it gets even more dynamic when you introduce Batman. So and I know one of your favorite Val Kilmer movies is The Saint. Just watching that movie, you can tell that Val Kilmer can play all these different aspects. And hey, they could have even gone with the disguises that Bruce Wayne often wears in the comics. Beyond Batman. But I think I think he would be a good fit with Nolan. I think he would work well with Nolan. But I think the main thing that would have to change if he was the lead in the Nolan trilogy is I think you'd see the supporting cast kind of shift up. Particularly, I do not think you'd have a Liam Neeson, Ra's al Ghul. I don't quite think they would mesh the same way that Bale and Neeson did. But I think there's still a strong possibility you could have him up against Ledger's Joker. But I think the real change would be whether or not you would have Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, and Gary Oldman. I think that's where your core supporting cast is. I think there would have to be some changes there to really tailor it to Val Kilmer. And that's what I'd say about it.
Well, just to bounce off a couple of things that you've said, I actually I haven't thought about this until just now, but I would love to see a Morgan Freeman Val Kilmer matchup, because when you see like a film with your favorite actor and they're just things that you wish you could see more of because you know that they can deliver on that.
Right.
It's sort of like that. The only thing I would say about Val Kilmer being in Nolan's film is that Bale, he does have quite a ferocity about him. And to be honest, the only film that I can think of that had Val Kilmer being that kind of ferocious, very aggro sort of underbelly in his character was maybe Willow, but that was a bit more comedic. So I don't know if he could pull that off, because I've never seen him pull that off, but it'd be interesting to see, particularly the training scenes with the League of Shadows. That's probably the least part I'm confident about in him delivering on. But in terms of showing that dynamic between Bruce Wayne and Batman, I think he would absolutely kill it, because he can do so much with his body language without actually talking.
Yeah.
And you kind of get a taste of that in Is it Batman Forever or Batman?
It's Batman Forever.
Robin? Okay, yeah, you kind of get a taste of that, like when he has those scenes, like those flashbacks, like you can just feel what he's feeling.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me.
That's one thing I'll say about his performance in Batman Forever. Like, no matter what the material he was given or what was around him, he never once wavered in his performance or phoned in his performance. Whereas I think George Clooney did fall victim to that. He did just kind of go through the motions in a lot of scenes.
Definitely.
Now, I will say that Clooney is very good in at least two scenes. The final scene between him and Mr. Freeze, I really enjoy that. I think he does a great job. And there's a scene where Alfred's like basically on his deathbed, and him and Alfred have this good heart-to-heart.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just feel like Clooney just phoned it in for a paycheck, and I don't feel the same way about Kilmer. I think Kilmer came there to give a dynamic performance, and he did.
Well, that's why, I'm not so critical of that film, because, he's the main character, so he sort of carries the film, and that's the part that you remember most.
Well, all right, let's move on to the next question.
Because speak about this all day.
Right. All right, next question is from Don Ald. It is a podcast question. In your opinion, which is the superior genre, science fiction or fantasy? Name a movie or show or overall franchise to support your answer. Bonus points if you name a video game. I'll pass this off to you.
This sounds like a question in a board game. Superior in the sense of which is more popular, favored?
I would say it's in your opinion.
That is actually a really tough question, because I enjoy both. I'd have to go fantasy because of the science fiction genre that I do like. It's a very specific subset of films, but fantasy I can think of. I think Star Wars kind of falls under the fantasy genre. Would you agree? Not necessarily science fiction.
That's what I would argue. So in science fiction terms, it does in a way follow the social aspects of science fiction, where it's about the how the people are, and I think in that aspect, and in the aspect of how lived in the space and the stuff is, it's a good sci-fi. Yeah. But as far as actual technology, in particular how technology affects society, it's not the best in sci-fi, and so I would argue that it's more of a fantasy realm than
my
pure sci-fi.
Argument is that it was always just the backdrop. It wasn't the story's focus. It wasn't like this is what the world would look like in this time. It was just very relatable conflicts that are timeless. It just happened to exist in a very futuristic kind of setting. But I'd have to go fantasy because Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. There's a lot of films I could probably think of, and you just keep watching them. You can't stop watching them. But there are a lot of good science fiction films. In saying that, what do you reckon?
I would also say fantasy. I mean, I enjoy good heavy sci-fi. I do, but to me, fantasy is where I want to be. I'm a huge fan of epics. Epic stories and this and that, and fantasy just lends itself to epics in a better way than sci-fi would. Particularly Lord of the Rings. There you go, right there. And then, of course, another. I argue that Star Wars is a fantasy, and Larry isn't here, but he also agreed with us on fantasy. He says that Conan was a huge influence on that, as well as Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. But
I think he wanted to mention Willow, didn't he?
Maybe.
I remember him saying last time we spoke together, he forgot to put that down when I brought it up.
I think he did talk about Willow when we recorded this last time. And Donald, he also gave you some video games. He said Golden Axe, The Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, Skyrim, and but Destiny is his favorite. Destiny, I think, is also kind of similar to Star Wars.
Playing it on Discord all the time.
It being kind of a fantasy sci-fi meld, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next
Is
question. What?
is Alien and Predator? I always thought that was more science fiction.
Yeah. That. So yeah, Alien and Predator were more science fiction. That's sorry, got for those at home who have no visual aids. He's looking at what Larry had written in this document that we used to guide ourselves on, and Larry had Alien and Predator there. That was his counterbalance for what sci-fi movies interested him. He said he wasn't so interested in Star Wars, but movies like Alien or Predator were things that really got to him. Particularly the first Alien, Ridley Scott's first Alien movie.
When I watched that last year, the first Alien film, and like that was almost on the same level as the experience I had watching Blade Runner. Like it was just, you just felt wrapped into the film. Like as soon as it began with that music, it was like Jerry Goldstein.
Yeah, I believe so. It was Goldstein.
Yeah, like the music is, it just really makes you feel like you're in the place that they're in. I'll never forget that experience.
It's got a fantastic environment that it puts itself into too. Like it's so like at first it's so sterile, and then when the horror happens, you realize how confining and how like the corners on it. The corners on it seem so so unsafe. Like you don't know what's around the corner, and there's so many corners built into the ship.
That's a really good point. I like that makes sense to me, because thinking about like the beginning of the film, they're just sort of casually walking around in this spaceship, like,
and it's brightly lit, and then when everything goes down, they lose some of the power.
Funerals.
All right, let's get on to the next question. The main man, NVB. Subject is Warner Brothers versus Disney. His message, why is Warner Brothers so unorganized in comparison to Disney? Just by comparing the DCU and HBOmax versus the MCU and Disney Plus, you can see the differences in the companies. Disney seems well organized and their projects seem to be more planned out, while Warner Brothers seems to be more chaotic and reactionary.
I really wish I saw this question earlier, because if those who don't know, I'm just seeing this for the first time today.
Classic Jerry. Never prepared.
Disney had the benefit of finding a really large audience from the get-go. They kind of just struck gold, in a matter of speaking. Like Warner Brothers, they're trying to get that same success, but I guess they had different intentions in the beginning, and it was time to play catch up. And now they're kind of starting to find that success for their recent DC films, but I don't think they're necessarily unorganized. I think Disney just really got lucky with the cinematic universe, because a lot of people enjoy it. Like they're not. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but like I've always thought that the Marvel films are just very. It's like fast food. Anyone can enjoy it, and it's you take in product after product. You're not necessarily attaching to yourself to one particular film for a long period of time. Like I don't think about these movies once I've seen them. I don't think I ever have. But other films like Blade Runner or the Dark Knight trilogy, like I think about those all the time, because there's just so many hidden things and concepts in that film to think about. But with Disney, it's just they pump one movie out after the other. It's not designed that way.
I would say with the MCU, aside for maybe one or two films, there isn't any like film that just makes me, oh, dude, what about this? Yeah. Now there are moments in them where I'm like, I'll revisit and think about and this and that. But especially with ideas and themes, there's not much that stick with me, I would say, and I'm assuming that's what you mean as well. So I came at it in a goofy way, NVB. So like conspiracy theories, how like the global elite and whatever are like super planned out. They always do things in and a very purposeful and what do you say? How do you say it? Purposeful and a working manner, right? It always works out how they wanted it to. I think there's an alt dimension where all those conspiracy theories are actually true, and that's the one where Disney comes from. So they're this like magnanimous cabal of elites that are always get their plans worked out right. And Warner Brothers, unfortunately, is from our reality, and that's why they're all inept and incompetent and never really do that much remarkable, right?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
you not finished?
And so this is what Larry had to say. Larry said Disney Plus seemed like a planned out, well executed idea, whereas HBOmax seemed like a pitch in a boardroom when a boss asks, "What the heck are we gonna do to keep up with Disney?" And then some good idea fairy said, "Make our own streaming service, I guess." And so it happened. And I can see, like, yeah, HBO Max and how it rolled out does seem very reactionary. I will say that the catalog that they have is very good. I don't know if you've seen their entire catalog, Jared, but they actually have a really good setup and stuff. I just think, when they didn't have the deals with Roku and Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick,
Yeah.
I think that's really hurt them a lot. And so in a way, I do kind of fall in with Larry's belief in that they kind of rushed to get it out before getting all the deals that they needed to make it a huge success. So maybe in like a few months it'll prop up, but it's not where it is. It's kind of, limping along where it shouldn't be. But all right. And so the last question for this section comes from the Electric Hobo. He is a new listener. Welcome. And his question is a Sloppy Joe a burger? So, in my opinion, a burger needs to be a patty made of beef, or at least has beef in it. And, it's a patty. It can be broiled, fried, or grilled, but it's a patty. And so, in my opinion, a Sloppy Joe is not a burger, but it's a daggum good sandwich.
Well, I mean, like, I can't really speak for Americans here, but, like, I remember, like, in school when we watched that Adam Sandler movie, Billy Madison. Like, that scene with the lunch lady and the lots of Sloppy Joes.
Yeah.
Extra sloppy, like...
Stop it, lady! You're scaring us!
Joke about it all the time like that. I think it actually took like a year or two later to realize, oh, wait a second. What are these Sloppy Joe things again? Like, we were just thinking about the scene at the time, but I mean, I can sort of remember what it looks like, and I don't know. It doesn't look like a burger to me. It looks like a burger, but it doesn't have all the burger attributes.
I remember Larry said something about, like, does a burger fall apart on you as soon as you pick it up? And I was thinking to myself, it depends on who made the burger.
You go for a bite, it'll fall apart. For sure. It's a big one.
Yeah. But, well, the thing about a Sloppy Joe is you just got to pick it up and it's already falling apart on your arm.
Man.
All right, well, before we get into the main topics, there is an update I want to do on a previous subject I think we did on the last podcast. And that was Ray Fisher's accusations against Joss Whedon. And one of the takeaways I had was that, I want to believe Ray, but I just needed more stories. I need more particulars to come out and some evidences to substantiate his claims of abuse from Joss Whedon. And one of the things Larry said was that he had never really heard of anything from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer days. And, well, now both of us got an answer to that. First came from an actor, James Marsters. He's the guy who played Spike on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If nobody knows, Spike was a vampire brought as a villain in the second season. He was supposed to be killed off and done away with, but the fandom really loved him, so they brought him back a bit in season 3, then brought him back fully in season 4, and he became a love interest to Buffy. Well, apparently in his testimony, Joss Whedon did not like this at all, and at one point he, quote, backed me up against a wall one day, and he was just like, I don't care how popular you are, kid, you're dead. You hear me? Dead. And I was just like, it's your football, man. And he essentially said that Josh wasn't really mad at him, but he mad about the situation. Yeah. But still, this is a little very unprofessional, and it's, with him having the power of that set, it's pretty messed up thing to do to a guy, especially since, that's something he doesn't really have any power over, and you can't get mad at him at being such a good actor to build a character up that the fandom loves. I mean, it's kind of weird, but, I can look at this and still be like, well, okay, maybe he's just hot-headed that day, But then there's this story. So there's a stunt coordinator and a stunt double. They both worked on the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer for 4 seasons. The stunt double, she was the Slayer, and they both came out and said they had problems with Joss on the set. And the stunt coordinator, he said that, quote, Joss went from the humble writer who used to turn to me for ways to shoot fight scenes into a real egomaniac who believed in his own hype. And, it got so bad between them that he decided that after season 4, he was leaving the show. He was leaving the show, and then, the producers came and talked to him, the executives came and talked to him, he was in talks to come back for season 5. But his girlfriend at the time, I think they are married now, she said that Joss came to her and told her, you can come back for season 5 and be the stunt double for the Slayer again if you break up with him. And so, she told him essentially no, and so that ended up, they both left the show completely after then. They no longer were in talks to do season 5, and then after that happened, he came to them and told both of them that, quote, no one will ever hire you again after this. And they even went so far to say that he was smart enough to phrase it in a way that's not, I'll make sure you'll never work in this industry again. He made sure to say it in a way that it couldn't come back on him, And so this, this particularly, okay, this is abuse. This is misuse of power, and it's really messed up. It's fairly sickening to me. What do you think about all this?
I've seen, I've seen on spoof films and there's meta Hollywood films, and they'll actually be filming a camera crew who's shooting a scene, and there's always one really angry producer or somebody that's just going off the rails at the actors. And it just, when I saw all this, I was thinking, is this really just, this is what Hollywood is like, and these actors, they're getting all worked up over what was probably a really stressful day for somebody. But in saying that, I agree with you that he's basically threatening these people on their livelihoods, which is that's a no-no for me. So I don't really agree with this whole thing that Ray Fisher is doing. It really seems like he's weaponizing Twitter.
That is something I'm curious to Ray on Twitter posted this article and said that he stands with both of these people on their story, as though that he experienced something similar on Justice League. There's something else with the Ray Fisher thing. So I believe this dude's name is Jovan Wade. He's the actor who plays Cyborg on Doom Patrol. And he posted on Twitter, he put 2 pictures and 2 words, "Booyah." It's a picture of him with his fist up and then flexing. And apparently, like a bunch of, hashtag Release the Snyder Cut Twitter users came and attacked him. And apparently they saw it as a slight because with all the drama that came out, John Berg, producer of Justice League, said that Ray Fisher got upset because they told him to say "booyah" and he didn't want to say "booyah." Well, so the Snyder cultists saw this and started attacking Jovan Wade, and Ray Fisher quoted him and said, "Keep doing your thing at Jovan Wade. If anybody out there has a problem with my cybernetic brother from another mother box, do me a favor and unfollow me. If I catch any of you hating on him, I'm blocking you. Hashtag Borg Life." And so I really respect this because it would have been easy for him to just allow them to attack it. It could have been easy for him to get some points with them, I guess, and throw shade at him as well. But no, he stuck with him because he doesn't see this as him coming after him. It likely had nothing to do with it. He saw that. And even if it did, I feel like him supporting him, that's the way you're going to win him over to you anyway. But yeah, I really respect how Ray did that. And to me, it kind of points back to what John Berg said, because I don't think, maybe he did throw up some qualms about saying "booyah," but I don't think it was just about saying "booyah." If that was even a thing, I think John Berg was trying to deflect some blame on himself or make it seem less important than it actually was. What do you think?
Well, I don't ever really want to comment on things unless I know.
Yeah, unless you know
everything. Yeah, well, yeah. Just if I don't really like, I hate to say it, but I don't trust anyone in Hollywood. I don't trust anything they say, especially if it's like on a platform like this. If it's because you're allowed to think about these things. You've got time to write and format how you're going to say it. Like it's all like this sort of stuff affects their jobs in a way.
Yeah.
Like when there's money involved, you got to be real careful who you're going to listen to. But I like
yeah, I like Ray.
Good dude.
I think he kind of took a risk coming out before his non-disclosure agreement, NDA, before his NDA was up.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know, because, first he just said it was, abuse and misconduct, but he couldn't say what it was because he had an NDA. Then these guys come out and he supports them openly. So maybe he's got a bit of a strategy to it that we aren't aware of. Yeah. And I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping he has thought through how he wants to release things coming up to his NDA. And I hope, remember Chris Terrio said that he was going to say everything that happened and it never did? I hope that doesn't happen. I hope when the NDA is up, he clears the air and says what he needs to say.
One thing I just want to say.
Go ahead.
About all this. I do like that actors are starting to become more like regular people, if that makes sense. Like they're no longer on this sort of pedestal that we all hold them up to, like they're just like everyday people, because it is a bit of a shame when they're expected to behave a certain way. Like I think that's wrong. They're people too, and I do hope that we get to a more common ground with people like that, because it's just this idolization that people have with actors, movie stars, it's just a little bit gross to me. And yeah, it's nice that people like Ray Fisher and who was the other guy? Was it John Boyega?
Yes, John Boyega.
Yeah, like they were speaking up for themselves, and that's nice to see.
Yeah. I really dug John Boyega's Twitter fighting back on Twitter.
Oh,
that was pretty cool. All right, Larry's gonna kill me if I don't get this show going along.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
let's get into the main topics. And the first one is Wonder Woman reshoots for Justice League. So the proverbial tea has spilled on social media over some Wonder Woman scenes. Gal Gadot's stunt double, or no, her body double, Caitlin Burrows, shared some scenes of her in full Wonder Woman costume, standing in for Gal Gadot during the filming of Justice League. When asked by a fan if those shots were in the movie were of her and not Gal Gadot, she responded, "Nope, just standing in." Now, it's a common practice that you have 9 actors stand in for the main actors so that you don't waste their time when you're fiddling with lighting, because that's something that can go on for 30 minutes or an hour, maybe more, depending on the scenario. But that'll happen while they're getting their costumes fitted or makeup's put on, etc. However, Larry Fong, the cinematographer known for being in a lot of Zack Snyder's movies, kind of refuted the claim by saying, "I wasn't there, but I can tell you this, superhero costumes are hella expensive, and we're lucky to get stand-ins with the right colored clothes at all, much less an entire duplicate costume." So
that's a lot of taste, Village.
What do you think about this, Jared?
Well, that didn't work out so well for Gal, but I mean, what is it? Does it really matter? Like, is anyone actually going to pay attention to this? This is just a little bit of drama of the week to me.
So the claims are that that they did face replacement on Gal Gadot on scenes because she wouldn't film with Joss Whedon after.
Oh, that's right.
That's what people are trying to say with this. Now, for me, first off, Larry Fong was not the cinematographer for Justice League. Not in the main production and not in the reshoots. And he wasn't on set during the reshoots. So, this is coming just from his past experience, not from the experience of the movie, when he says that that the superhero costumes are too expensive for you to get just regular body doubles wearing them. But, so from my perspective coming into it, I'm looking at Justice League's reshoots and how they were. When you look at Ben Affleck's wig, he's got a different wig on. You look at some of the characters.
I never noticed that.
They've all got wrong looks to them, and cheaper looking backgrounds, cheaper looking, like even certain costumes look cheaper, and I'm looking at that and I was like, maybe they were so unprepared in this that they had to use a hero costume for this body double. And if you don't know about how costumes are made, they'll make maybe a couple hero costumes, and that'll be the best on-screen looking costume. But it's probably going to be the most restrictive costume. It's probably going to be the most stiff. And then you'll have a stunt costume that might have some opened up areas, and you'll have some CGI dots or stuff for artists to come in and complete the suit. But that's made for more mobility and stuff. And then you'll have like some lesser costumes that'll be for basically stand-ins, and you'll have them for distance shots. But yeah, like maybe during the filming they only had the hero shots. Like Joss didn't get everything together in time, and he just had the hero costume to work with, and so that's why this body double was wearing the great-looking Wonder Woman suit for those photos. So that's how I would look at it, but if you're looking at the film, I just don't see how they would have such good face replacement on Gal Gadot. When you compare it to Henry Cavill, just had to change his lip. And then you have the other CGI and how ugly and messy the backgrounds look cheap, this and that, look flat, and yet somehow Gal Gadot's face was perfectly put on there, and you don't see dots on the body double's face or anything, so that would make it even harder to do it. So yeah, I just don't buy into the face replacement story. Now, I do believe that it's likely the body double was there for more shots than Gal Gadot normally would have allowed. So like a lot of times you'll have body double stand in when you do a reverse shot, so like an over the shoulder reverse shot. So there are shots in the movie where you can see that it's clearly not Gal Gadot, like it's behind Gal Gadot looking at Ben Affleck, and you're like, that's not really Gal Gadot. So yeah, there would be instances like that, and there are other instances where, like, all right, so in the Flying Fox, I believe that's the name of the ship, when they're in the back of it and they're all together, and there's a shot of all like Aquaman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Flash, and it looks like they're all on separate plates stitched together to be the shot together. I believe there's instances like that where they're playing with things like that because they didn't have all the cast together, and I think it is likely that maybe Gal had a falling out with Joss and didn't do as many shots with him as she needed. But there's no way you get away from close-ups on the face with that. I don't see them replacing her face in even some of the wider shots. But I do think there is a pretty big possibility that she let her body double do some of the distance and behind shots than she would have if it was Zach or another director that she actually liked working with. Do you have anything else to say on this subject?
Well, let me just get this straight. So, are these scenes that are probably considered demeaning to women? Is Gal Gadot trying to separate herself from those scenes?
Well, so all right, there's two. There's the infamous Flash falls on her boobs, and there's that, but there's the scene with her and Bruce basically calls her out for not being able to get over Steve Trevor, which a lot of people have called out as dumb, because you're talking about this. You have Bruce Wayne saying this, who's known for not being able to get past his trauma, and you don't even call him out on the hypocrisy. Joss wrote that very weird, and it can be looked at as demeaning. You can just kind of gloss over it and accept it. But I would say there's nothing yet that points directly to Gal not liking Joss and purposely not doing things for Joss. But sorry, looking at the film, I can kind of see where she probably pulled back and wouldn't do as many shots as she normally would have. When she could get away with it.
I don't get it. Like, they get paid a lot of money, and it's I don't know. It's like you're walking around in a costume most of the time. Like, how hard can that be?
Well, I mean, the environment you work in is going to affect your attitude, and the attitude of other people around you is going to affect your attitude. So that's a big thing. Well, all right. Moving on to topic number 2, the Batman, Mission Impossible, and more films have cleared up to resume production. This is particularly in the UK. So the Hollywood Reporter has dropped this. The UK government announced on Sunday that a limited number of essential individuals working on major productions will be allowed to be part of an exclusive group who are exempt from quarantine rules, so long as those traveling to the country live and work in controlled, bubbled environments, which only includes their production and accommodation locations. The UK is allowing all these films and stuff in, but what they're doing is, when you get there, you stay in the area that you're shooting at, and like your housing and eating area.
Yeah, I think it's smart. It's a good idea. Especially if you want to get the ball rolling again with film production.
Right.
Not really much to say, but like I really want to see some set photos of Robert Pattinson. See if he's been losing muscle, gaining weight, or who knows.
Oh yeah. Well, I think now after we recorded this, it's come out that the Batman is going to be filming mainly on sets on stages. I mean, yeah. But so like Mission Impossible was filming in Italy,
right.
and then everything happened.
Man,
And now they're filming in the UK, so they're up again. I like you said. I think it's a very smart plan. It's thought out. It's considered. You know, I like the idea of quote unquote bubbled. You know, so it kind of makes me think that they're kind of forcing your trailers and housings to be close to where you're filming to, or much more so than you may normally have on foreign films. You know, because typically, like I know Robert Pattinson, he was living in an apartment, his own apartment there, and they might not do that now. They might have them stay in trailers that they have control over, or they might rent out an entire apartment building to house the cast and crew. I don't know. But it seems like whatever they do, they have to have the housing close to their filming locations, and the filming locations are probably going to have to be right around each other too. That way you can control the bodies coming against each other, so that you can lessen the spread of COVID, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a really smart idea.
It's just a shift. That's how we got to operate now.
You know, and with the Batman moving to stages, it kind of goes back to this idea that I was talking about when we discussed the set extensions that they use for the Mandarin. I mean, not the Mandarin. Excuse me, the Mandalorian. That virtual environment that they're able to adjust. You know, it's LEDs that so it gives you the almost natural lighting. It gives you the proper lighting, I would say, not natural lighting.
Yeah.
But it gives you there on the camera. It gives it there for the people on set to see and feel and respond to. And I think you're going to start seeing more of that being adopted because, I think you're going to see films lessen their budget. I think you're going to see studios build up stages again, like more. So like a lot of the studio stages went towards TV. They're no longer with film. And whenever films use stages, they usually either have to borrow those TV stages or go out to hangars and build stages on their own. And I think now you're going to see studios wanting to house their own stages again. And for filming, I think they're going to be this virtual environment stage like they use on The Mandalorian. Because once you get that initial payout, it's pretty cheap to keep and maintain. What's that like, Jared?
Ouch.
Sorry.
I don't know if you remember The Mandalorian too much. I had a friend. She started watching it, and she asked if I'd watch it with her. So I've been revisiting it myself, and I was just thinking, like, for the budget that it is, I think it was like there was one article like a while ago. It was like $10 million per episode or something, and or $100 million would be spent on the entire season. And like the quality of it, like sometimes you can't even tell that there's that virtual background going on.
Yeah, it's a very great system. I think it works.
Really well. And like with the like I keep thinking about the Joker and how it was such a low budget film, but it made over $1 billion. Like they seem to be like in this sort of like sweet spot of finding a way to make these big films, big things, but like on a low budget. And if they really take advantage of what they did with The Mandalorian, they could be. But this could work especially well for the streaming service because they have to be able to justify making
exactly.
a cinematic
that
movie
epic look for low cost.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic. Rocky IV. Sylvester Stallone confirms he's working on a director's cut. So this comes from IGN. They were talking to Stallone, and he posted an image to promote the extended cut of Rambo Last Blood on his Instagram page. And it prompted a fan to ask whether there's a director's cut of the movie Rocky Balboa, which I guess is Rocky VI. Yeah. It asked if that would ever be released. And in response, Stallone admitted that he's not doing that. However, he did give fans another reason to pump their fist in the air, and that is, he said, "I am doing a director's cut of Rocky IV, which will be amazing." And if you don't know, Rocky IV is the 1985 movie. It's where, Apollo Creed, he started off as a rival with Rocky and then became, his best friend and helped him beat up Mr. T, right? And, Apollo Creed, he fights Ivan Drago and gets killed in the ring, and the whole rest of the movie is Rocky getting prepared to get this vengeance fight against the commies, and
it's kind of funny because that fight with Drago, like the end fight, like that's actually my least favorite part of the film. Like that is my favorite Rocky movie, but I love Apollo Creed is probably my favorite character, maybe even more than Rocky in that franchise, because he's sort of smug, sort of arrogant nature. It paid him the ultimate price when he confronted the Russian dude. Like it was just when he said, like when his coach is saying throw in the damn towel, like it was just so brutal. Like he just couldn't help himself. And then he finally I think he was like, it's been a while since I watched the movies, but he felt like he was in Rocky's shadow, right? And he wanted to
because he was in the tail end of his
get a bit of respect back, I guess.
He was in the twilight, and he didn't want to go down like that. So Rocky IV was a huge knockout success. It earned more than $300 million worldwide, and it was held at the top spot as the highest-grossing sports film of all time until The Blind Side in 2009, which is a bio sports drama with Sandra Bullock. What do you feel about a 1985 movie just now getting a director's cut?
Well, I don't know the details. It might not even, like, surely it has to be something substantial to want to go through the effort of getting that out, which that alone excites me. Like, do you know anything about what the director's cut means exactly, like in terms of footage?
Director's cut is different from an extended cut. An extended cut is just them adding more to the movie. Whether it's a scene extension, or a couple scenes added back in, deleted scenes added back in. But typically with an extended cut, the stuff they add back in isn't necessary, and it's usually just a tag along with the theatrical. Yeah, it's kind of filler. It's kind of just if you like the movie, here's this. Whereas a director's cut is typically going to change things that will alter the movie. Will alter maybe the themes, will alter some of the narrative, character arc. You could have a new plot line added into the movie that changes up things, and you'll see more differences in the overall edit. Like maybe scenes are cut shorter, maybe there's a few scenes that are longer, and the overall the tonality of the movie is likely changed by a director's cut. Tonality.
If you had to choose between extended or director's cut, what would you go for?
I would always go with the director's cut. I mean, even if the director's cut is lesser than the theatrical cut, it's gonna offer you something substantial. Whereas an extended cut, it's like I could just watch the deleted scenes on their own. I don't need them added into the movie because I can understand exactly why this deleted scene was cut, right? And sometimes you get stuff added into extended cut that it does add something good, but usually it's just kind of fluffy. Whereas the director's cut, you're going to get something that changes the movie, in a significant way. And so, I love extended cuts too. I'll watch the extended cut. I mean, I know it kind of dogged on
Lord of the Rings.
Like I have the extended cuts of the Underworld movies, and I'll watch them every now and then. They don't really add much to. Whereas something like Lord of the Rings, the extended cut. Now, Lord of the Rings doesn't technically have any director's cut. It has a theatrical and an extended cut, and the director Peter Jackson had his hand in crafting both of those, and so he crafted the theatrical cut, knowing that he had the extended cut to work with too. And so I really like that idea that it makes it makes both cuts stand on their own much better. You know, when the director has a hand in, all right, this is exactly what we need cut to make this fit into the theater and be the best story it can be, and this is the stuff that we can just go all out on for the DVD release, right? Yes, I really love that. I love different cuts of movies. I mean, if anybody else is like me and loves different cuts of movies, Blade Runner is the movie for you. There's like 6 of them. And, you know, looking at this, you know, a 1985 movie getting a director's cut, it makes me remember that Kurt Russell has in his garage all the footage for Tombstone. And he's been saying for a while that whenever he gets the time, you know, he'll make a director's cut of Tombstone. And I'm really hoping, you know, we got COVID-19, you know, that stalled everything. Hopefully he's been in his garage working on it. And,
that would I would love to see everything that they filmed.
Yeah. All right, so
even if it doesn't make sense, just seeing it would be nice.
All right.
But yeah.
And let's move on to the next topic. Topic number 4. The Batman spin-off series focused on Gotham PD coming to HBOmax. All right, so Matt Reeves signed a TV deal with Warner Brothers, and this is from Variety. Warner Brothers is already keen on expanding this new incarnation of the Batman and creating a show set in the same cinematic Batverse. The spin-off TV series focused on members of the Gotham City Police Department, one that will be exclusive to HBOmax. The as-yet untitled series will be produced by the Batman director Matt Reeves and Boardwalk Empire creator Terrence Winter. As part of a new overall deal with Reeves has signed with Warner Brothers Television. Winter will also write the series. Statement from Matt Reeves. Can you read this for me, Jared?
Yeah, this is an amazing opportunity not only to expand the vision of the world I am creating in the film, but to explore it in the kind of depth and detail that only a long-form format can afford. Getting to work with the incredibly talented Terrence Winter, who has written so insightfully and powerfully about worlds of crime and corruption, is an absolute dream.
Yeah, so right now we don't know if Jeffrey Wright or Robert Pattinson will be in the show.
Well, I think,
what do you think about this?
Concerning the TV show, this speaks a lot about the movie, if anything, and the confidence they have in Matt Reeves, which kind of excites me. Like I've been waiting for some more Batman news. I don't know how you feel, but if there's anything that hypes me up the most, it's something concerning Batman. It always has been. Like even Star Wars is up there, mostly Batman. The games, comics, whatever. So I'm also curious what this, because I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. Was he ever in the books for like a trilogy, or is it just one film? Like, okay.
I don't think that's come out yet, whether or not it's a long-form cinematic deal, but assuming he's doing a TV show to coincide with it, I'm assuming he'll come back.
Yeah.
And maybe there is a 3-picture deal.
Dude, this could be really cool. Like, what if he must be really invested in his character and the thing that he's doing? Because I feel like now what they're trying to do is establish the next Nolan property.
I believe on Twitter it even talked about the GCPD and corruption in it. Is going to be a staple to the show. And so if any of you follow Larry on Twitter, you will have seen that he kind of joked around and said, like, isn't it, so they're remaking Gotham?
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought when I saw it.
Yeah, like, so in my opinion, Gotham, you know, it kind of started off like it was going to be a gritty crime procedural, right? In which, honestly, I'm glad it didn't quite turn out to be that, because in reality, the show is more of a Burton campy, dark and campy feel to it. I mean, it does have a little bit of the Nolan isms to funnel into it as well, but it's very much in Burton's style. And I'd say that's something I really dug about the show. But with this,
I really enjoyed the production value of it.
With this, I'm hoping for, number one, smaller episode count. 10, 13, 8, somewhere between 8, 10, or 13 episodes per season.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what I would really want for this show is not to put. I mean, I know Jeffrey Wright. He starred in Westworld on HBO, so it wouldn't be out of the world for them to bring him in to lead the show. But I wouldn't want that. I would want it to be centered on Harvey Bullock and an ensemble around Harvey Bullock as the lead ensemble member. And so you have a few of the other detectives, and you have Gordon as their captain. And instead of having, how Gotham had it as Gordon is the lead, and we're following his crusade to clean up the GCPD. Instead of that, you have Gordon removed from the main narrative as the captain. So you have him as a supporting character and not somebody who's driving the story. And you have Harvey and the other characters, and you have them dealing. So with Harvey, I think is a great character because Harvey you can give Harvey, the heart of gold, but he's owned by the mob, or maybe he's used to be owned by the mob, and so he's kind of pulled several different ways. You've got the new captain; he's trying to clean things up in the police department, but deep down you're dirty. So it gives that a nice dynamic for him to have with his superior officer. And then the characters around him, you can have the naive character that he's got to train up and this and that. And then you got to deal with all these, crazy supervillains that are rising up, and then they still got the old crime bosses that are still there, and you have the urban myth of Batman that's sprouting up, and maybe Harvey Bullock just thinks that the Bat figure is just some nonsense or some goof, But yeah, that's how I would want the show to be built around.
I haven't really watched a lot of Gotham. Like I said before, it looks nice. Like the setting looks nice, and I appreciate that. I never really got a hang of the story too much, but I remember feeling like it was just a little bit, like not flavor of the week, maybe. Like with all the different characters they had, like it didn't feel like this massive thing in the city, like this, like all the different crime families and Penguin. Like it just didn't feel as big as it was supposed to be.
It does get bigger, and it takes until the back half of season 1 for it to get to what it actually is. And so, if you give Gotham the time, the back half of season 1, season 2, season 3, those are really good seasons. Season 4 is kind of good. Season 5 kind of let me down a bit because I thought it was going to be a bit better put together than it turned out to be. But overall, I enjoyed Gotham a lot, and
I just want this show I want this new show just to be able to say, we don't need Batman. We're so confident in what we're going to share with you.
I think what's really cool.
You're not even going.
Yeah, I think what's really cool with this is that it's working in tandem with the film. So.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
If the season comes out before the movie, I think what would be really cool is if you build up the mystique of Batman and Bruce Wayne. You don't have them quite in the show, but they're figures that are getting talked about in the show. So you build all this character up, and it folds into the movie. And then, what happens in the movie affects the next season. And I like the symbiotic relationship that can be done with that. It's going to take a lot more planning, so dates, release dates are going to be a lot more important to get, movie 2 and season 3 to sync up, But I really dig this relationship between a movie and show. And actually, where something like the Netflix Marvel shows and the ABC Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. failed at was actually affecting the movies they were attached to or supposedly attached to, and I really wanted to see this actual impact on each other's story. Yes.
I'll try to wrap this up quickly so we can move on, but I really like that idea of you have this TV series where it's kind of underpinning what's happening in the film, but then it's like it's your own marketing engine, the TV series for the film.
Right.
So you have sort of your intimate little TV series that you can watch at home in the comfort of your own space, and then you have the film where you go out to the cinemas and you have this big event thing, and then as you're watching the film that you're seeing things that are attached to this TV series. Like it's such a fun way. Like it's probably the next thing to do. Like it was having a cinematic universe. Now we're going to have TV series linked to a cinematic film. Like that could be really cool if it's done correctly. So
all right, that is
looking forward to it.
That is our main topics. We got a few more questions left from the audience. If anybody wants to leave us a question or suggestion, you go to MCMdebates.com, and there's a form at the bottom of the page you can fill out and send it to us. We'll look at it. We're always looking to grow. If you got suggestions, and leave a comment if you want. Leave a comment on the YouTube. And, here we go. This question's from NVB. Subject is Justice Khan. His question: there's a rumor going around that 2 secret movies will be announced at Justice Con this month. What 2 movies do you think they will be? Jared, do you have any ideas?
I'm thinking maybe either Flash, Green Lanterns, or Cyborg.
You're pretty close to my answer. So NVB.
It has to be one of those.
NVB, surely. Get your notepad out. I'll fill you in on something. They're going back to the original DCU film slate. If anybody needs to catch up on that it was Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad 2016, Wonder Woman and Justice League Part 1 2017. So far that has happened. This is where the change is. Flash was supposed to happen in 2018 with Aquaman. Shazam was supposed to be in 2019 with Justice League Part 2. And then Cyborg and Green Lantern were coming out in 2020. So I believe one of the mystery films will be Affleck's Batman movie that he's directing. But it's going to be Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne coming back to claim his identity from Slade Wilson, who Ben Affleck has been playing this entire time, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then the other movie is either going to be Cyborg or Green Lantern, because we already know the Flash movie is coming out. So it's going to be one of those 2. And I think it's more likely to be Green Lantern because Cyborg is probably going to get folded into Flash. So these are the 2 movies, right? But really, what's so huge about this is that Justice League, the Snyder Cut, that's coming out next year, we've been told that Zack Snyder's working on it, but really he's already finished it. And he is actually working on pre-production for Justice League Part 2, because they're, man, he's getting all that prepared, and when it premieres, when Snyder Cut premieres next year, that's when they're going to tell us that production has started on Justice League Part 2, and so amazing. So amazing. It's a great time to be living in NVB.
Wes Snyder.
So NVB asked he asked another question. It's about Joker video game. And he says, you have been hired to create a Joker video game. What would the storyline be or plot be? Thank you and God bless. Jared, what would your Joker video game be?
Okay, so he's just donned the Joker clown outfit, and you got to work your way through Gotham City, buying the trust and the power of all the different crime families, basically working your way up to the top. So you start out as this nobody, and then you end as the Prince of
Right.
Crime.
Okay. So I had a similar idea, and first of all, I'm going to rip off GTA, and you're going to have a sandbox Gotham City like GTA, but you're going to be given two types of play styles: create chaos or take control of crime. And so there's like 150 missions, and it depends on which play styles you're doing. But like that's the goal of the game, is to just make Gotham City a wreck and chaotic as can be, or become the Prince of Crime and like control all of the underworld, right? And I would say that the way Batman interacts with you depends on whether you're in chaos mode or in crime lord mode. So you're going to get a different version of Batman depending on which version you choose to play. And
that sounds cool.
That would be my pitch. Larry had something similar to us, and it was a follow-up to the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. And it was, you break out of Arkham, and it's all about building the Joker gang before you die and inspire the real Joker. And what he was kind of pitching was, so you have to organize a gang of people, and depending on how well or you do things, depends on how big your gang gets and how cohesive it is. So like if you fail a couple missions, you lose gang members. There's division in gang members. But if you're magnanimous and you do a great job, then you build this huge enclave of followers and this and that. But the end of it always is going to be Joker dies, and you inspire the actual Joker that goes on to fight Batman, which is pretty cool. All right, so the next question is Don Ald again. Podcast question 2. Cast Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill in Marvel roles. Cast Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans in DC roles. Go ahead, Jared. What you got?
Oh, this is a fun question. We'll start with the former, the latter. Sorry. I would cast Robert Downey Jr. as maybe Commissioner Gordon, but obviously toned down the charisma.
It's crazy you said that. That was one of the people that Larry mentioned for Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the same facial hair, sort of, so you can see it. As for Chris Evans, I would actually, and I just thought about this now, and now I really want to see it. I would cast him as Jason Todd, Red Hood.
Really?
Because I can picture him having, like, I think of those scenes with Bucky and Tony, and you just, despite the leader that Captain America is, and he's sort of like the manly man in the story. He also has like that kind of childlike innocence in him, because he's so pure, and I feel like you could translate that to him looking up to Batman as like a role model and losing that and feeling betrayed. I would love to see that, and kind of mixing in a bit of his role. Fantastic, that kind of
that hot-headed role from Fantastic Four.
As for Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, honestly, have no idea. I can't really picture Ben Affleck. I honestly don't know. Who would you go for?
So for Ben, I say bring him back as Daredevil, baby. Am I right? Am I right? Give him the Daredevil role again. Matt Murdock. And for Henry Cavill, I was thinking Adam Warlock in a Fantastic Four space adventure. I think would be a good fit for him.
Isn't he like really OP, Adam Warlock?
Yeah. He's the perfect man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Robert Downey Jr., I would say Grey Ghost. The old TV actor who played a big superhero role that kids loved. I think in Batman the Animated Series, there's a episode on there, and young Bruce Wayne used to watch Grey Ghost, and as Batman, he gets to team up with the actor on a case. But I think that would be a cool role to have RDJ in. And then for Chris Evans, I'd say Orion. And I said Orion because I knew Larry wanted him for Superman. Larry talked on and on about how he would dig a Chris Evans Superman, and then he tangentially brought up he'd also dig Michael B. Jordan as Superman.
I remember that.
Yeah, he also said Ben Affleck as Cable. You know, that world-weary, older, gruff, you know, from how Snyder saw him for Batman. It's like, just carry that on to Cable, make him more brutal. And then he said for Henry Cavill, he sees Wolverine, and immediately I'm thinking of the hairy chest, and all you got to do is patch on some hair on the arms, and it's like perfect. Right?
I disagree with that.
You want a short Wolverine? Is that it?
I feel like Henry's too much of a pretty boy. Wolverine. I mean, Hugh Jackman. He's good looking bloke, but like, he's just, you know, gruff as nails.
Have you seen him in Fallout? You know, he's got the mustache. He's got some plain looking suits. I would say, you know, that's not. He doesn't
have a very angry looking face.
You're
soft looking.
You're too crazy. I think you'd pull it off.
You know, I just want to say, I was thinking about X-Men Origins the other day, and Liev Schreiber and Hugh Jackman, and it's funny how they actually look like they could be brothers.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite relationships in the entire X-Men movies. Is Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth Victor.
Because I actually buy them as being related. They look very
I'll tell you, all right, Jared, a role that Henry Cavill played that I think can win you over to his Wolverine. I can't think of the movie, but it's him and Ben Kingsley are in it, and it's about them catching a serial killer, pedophilic serial killer.
Night Hunter.
The Night Hunter. Yeah. Have you seen it?
You've talked about it in the past. I remember.
I think that it can win you over to his meaner side, I guess. All right, let's go on to the next question. It's another from our favorite, the Nolan Virgin Bench, aka NVB, and the subject is the 2020s. Which movie genre will define the 2020s? What do you think?
Which movie genre will define the 2020s? I just feel like there's so much crap going on that people have kind of forgotten about the movie world. Like, is this like kind of like a satirical way, like which movie best reflects 2020?
No, like say superhero movies. They're the genre that defines the 2010s. The 60s, it was Western movies. I actually agree with Larry's response, which was disaster movies. I think it was last year. I was talking to someone and thinking that the next big thing will be telling, maybe not necessarily just disaster stories, but real world events. Yeah.
But with a really cinematic touch. I think that could be a very popular thing.
So
I hope it does.
Yeah, I agree with you now, and I agreed with Larry when we recorded this for the first time, but disaster movies, I think, will be the go. But I think particularly it's going to be pandemic disaster movies. And there's already a movie that in March, when the COVID shutdown happened, they filmed a secret movie with John David Washington and Zendaya, and it's basically a marriage during a pandemic lockdown. That's all the information that's come out, and that'll be coming out I think next year. And so I think we're going to see a lot of COVID-inspired disaster movies come out.
Yeah, because everybody wants to reminisce about COVID-19.
Well, okay. The last question is Donald again. and he says, "Hello, Larry and Dill."
Wow.
Should
Thanks,
Warner
Don.
Brothers recast The Flash? If so, should they go with Wally instead or keep it Barry? He says, "Thanks, guys. I enjoy listening to the podcast. It's kind of worked into my Monday morning routine." Huh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's nice. What do you think about his question?
Well, as you know, I'm not a huge DC nerd. But what's the real incentive there? What are you missing out on and gaining?
Well, I think the recasting is kind of rooted in Ezra Miller, choke slamming that girl, and then the kind of being insinuating that there's been some insinuation that he has been a problem in getting projects moved, the Flash project moved forward.
I don't like him. I'm going to say it. I don't like him as Flash. I would like to see, not necessarily the character, just a recast of the actor. I think there's someone better out there. He's too. I don't know. Do you like him?
I don't mind him, but I don't like the characterization they use. I think they. First of all, it was kind of a mix between Barry and Wally to begin with. But yeah, I don't think they're going to recast him, Don. But if they did, I would rather them go straight into Wally. Yeah, I think if anything, they would do this Flash movie. Maybe they kill him off and bring Wally in. But I'd prefer them bring Wally than them recast Barry. I'd say. And I don't know. They could even claim that time distortion is the reason why Barry looks different now. This and that. But yeah, just give us Wally. Yeah. I mean, I find Wally just a great, vibrant character to begin with. And he probably would have been a better fit in the dynamic. That's kind of how the Justice League tried to use him anyway, was use him as Wally to liven up the dynamics of the group. So they probably should have gone with him to start with. All right, that's it. That's all we've got for this episode. Last thoughts and concerns, Jared. Is there anything else you got to say?
Well, I was gonna bring it up earlier on, but I decided to save it to the end. With that story about Batman possibly going to do more set-based filming, what do you think? Because Don brought up a good point in the forum about how when you use a set, it gives you more freedom to capture a more comic book kind of vibe, and I absolutely agree with that. I think that's why Batman Begins. I've always preferred the look of that film, not necessarily the story, but the look over TDK and TDKR. It just feels more like Gotham in how it's depicted in the comics, and it just like I feel like with comic book films, even like Star Wars and all those sort of fantasy films, when you sort of create your own world from scratch, you can sort of it's probably harder and more expensive, but to me it just I don't know, it feels more unusual. Which is
it takes a lot of craft. It takes a heavy deal of craft, but it can pay off in loads. And the Burton movies were filmed in London, but they were filmed largely on sets too. And that's what allowed that for such a dynamic look and stylized look at Gotham.
Don't get me wrong, I love Dark Knight too. Like it also does have a kind of vibe, but. Batman Begins
took a lot of inspiration from Blade Runner.
Yeah, I remember seeing something about that.
Yeah.
What about any closing comments?
I'd say watch Yellowstone. Don't listen to Jared. He's an idiot. Don't watch Ray Donovan. Watch Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Well, that is Jared. That's everybody, Jared. I'm the real deal. I'm glad y'all listen to this. We appreciate you. And bye-bye.
Appreciate everything you do. Yeah.
Matt Reeves signed a TV deal with Warner Brothers, and the overall deal with Warner Brothers on an exclusive multi-year overall deal. I think Larry doubled over his text. Sorry, I'll cut all that out.